was not granted. And the state investors I speak to is yet to wake up from that political disaster. So the problem we are having actually is not states and regions borrowing, but the political economy. The economy has been, the policies have been mixed with the economy in such a way that even to separate them becomes an issue. They will see the very reasons why this should be done, and yet because of politics, because you are from the other party, or I said something, you didn't go with it the last time, then I will not agree with it. Now, government borrowing $30 billion the last time, and let me quickly say a little on that also, why it was rejected. In finance, let me talk as a finance expert this time around. We have three decisions in finance, which we call our investing decision, financing decision, and then the dividend decision. Now, most times, even we as individuals, as private sector entrepreneurs, we mix this thing up. We always look for fund before we look for investment. Investing decision comes before financing decisions. We see some people say, if I can get $5 million now, I'll be okay. Then we ask them, what will you do with $5 million if you say, let the money come first? Please, money is a spirit, as we all know, and that's why we say the love of money is the root of all evil. Money is, and the demand for money is a derived demand. It means you can't consume money, so to speak. It's what money can do for you. So if you don't have what you want to use the money for, borrowing becomes a problem. So the $30 billion that was rejected the last time, government did not put enough reasons why this money was being borrowed. And that is, the investment decision was not there before they go ahead for the financing decision. So that's why it was one of the reasons why it was rejected. But this time around, if you look at the reasons why government is borrowing, if you sit down and read the economic recovery and growth plan, from 2017 to 2020 3-year plan, you will realize that any money flowing into the economy right now has a channel where it is going. Then government also borrowing to pay salaries. We can't. Based on the structure of the economy right now, we can't jettison that, because we know that this is a civil service economy. If salaries and wages are not paid, then there is no money to even buy the goods and services when produced. And when the goods are not produced, firms will also close down. So to an extent, it's more or less like a dilemma. So government needs to manage the two between, let me say, fallacy of composition and fallacy of division. That's what pays the government as a nation, and then what pays the individual as a nation. How do I balance the two? So what I'm saying majorly is borrowing is not a problem. Even according to one paper that was submitted by Reinhardt and Rogoff in 2010, that is growth in a time of debt. They realized that they submitted that debt becomes a problem when it is above 90% of the GDP. And our own current debt ratio profile is about 18.6%. That means we have a very long opportunity of taking loans, of borrowing. But the major concern, based on what he has also said, is that these funds should be directed towards investment, towards provision of goods and services, towards provision of social infrastructure in the economy. If you look at the component of GDP, we have 5 components of it. We have the consumption, the investment, the government expenditure, the import, and the export. And so far, government has been borrowing. The government aspect of this, the G part of it, has been increasing, and that goes directly into consumption, leaving the investment part of it to be very, very thin. So what we are saying here is that the government should ensure that the investment component of our GDP should also be focused on. Government, that we have seen, cannot go into production of goods and services. So government should stop, to an extent, reduce internal borrowing to encourage funds being available for private investors, so that the economy can, at a very, very large extent, grow. If you go to the United States of America, for instance, we realize that the economy is driven by private investors. But here in Nigeria, what do we have? You see government everywhere, government trying to do this. I've talked about concessioning of roads on so many times. Government should stop production. Should focus on defense, education, and other things, and leave some business that business that.
If we let you, nobody else will say anything here. As we're winding down now, so let's begin with you, Temitope. What's the way forward?
Well, the truth is we need to borrow. And therefore, in certain countries like India, there's what we refer to as infrastructural bond. And that bond, really, it's also targeted. It's expected that one of the things in that bond is that it's expected that you spend actually on infrastructure. And India has been using that. So is that in certain countries also, you use debt ceilings. It's a way of also ensuring that you provide a cap. And there are also other ways that you can help. There's what we refer to as holy capitals, whereby you allow trademarks, licensing, And you also liberalize foreign direct investment, because the problem we have in this country is that it's not that over the last years, it's not that we've not had foreign investment, but it's the nature of the foreign investment. We've had more portfolio investments than foreign direct investments. And portfolio investments really it's hot money. But what we need now is foreign direct investment, because that's what will drive assets.
Mm-hmm. All right. Back to Abuja. We'll end with Dr. Chizie.
Okay.
Back to Abuja. Dr. Ngba, we're winding down, so way forward for both of you. Mr. Mabinori, please, you also weigh in as well. Way forward out of where we are.
The way forward is that we have to restructure the economy and allow economic activities to take place more at the peripheries and allow the center to be the referee. That's what we have to do. So that government should stop doing business it doesn't know how to do. If we do that, I will assure you, my brother, that this economy will be like Chinese economy or Indian economy in the next 5 or 10 years. Thank you.
My own submission, just as he said, is that the economy should be restructured. Give power to the federating units. Let them develop there's no state in Nigeria, as we speak right now, that does not have 1 or 2 natural resources. And we have seen that over 5% of the world's natural deposit is found in Nigeria. Over 5%. So that's to tell you that we have a lot to do. So federal government itself cannot do. Look at Ajaokuta lying down there in the Kogi State. What if it has been developed? The coal in Enugu can only be imagined. And also to talk about the solar energy that is wasting away in Bauchi State and in some other parts of the north. So what if these states are allowed to maximize these potentials? So government should strip itself of some powers and some responsibilities that are the federal government, so to speak, that are not needed. Allow state government to partner with foreign investors and develop their. You even realize that even federal government will make more money than imagine if this 30% should be going to from whatever you develop from your state should come to federal government rather than what we have currently.
All right, thank you. Before you, Mr. Chizie, you're the icing on the cake. So let's just read this tweet here. Festus Akimboewa says, "What's Nigeria's government doing with our public pension funds? We should invest the funds in infrastructure." And Okoyemi says, "Nigeria needs to change its reserve currency. It's good that people are not saving because the naira is impotent." That's Okoyemi. Baton says, "Taxes paid on land are they different from property tax?" So I'm reading this out, these 3, so that you can just round it all up.
Well, I think that's what we must say, because I think that we're not being fair to government. If we keep on talking, we shouldn't borrow for consumption. It's quite clear. If you look at the Fiscal Responsibility Act, it says, you should borrow only for infrastructure and human development. It's clearly stated. We have a situation whereby you have crisis on your hands. So you can't fund your activities, you can't pay salaries, and so on and so forth. If you don't do that, then the whole place is an opera, and so. And so, borrowing as per necessity. I'm sure everybody is conscious of this. What I have the thing to say is that we're not mobilizing our tax revenue aggressively the way we should do. Like you're saying, you go to a market, okay, market. And when this women in turnover is massive, you can begin to impose, flat tax. I think we can do a lot more in trying to think outside the box, and so that we begin to mobilize better tax revenue. What's also important is that, taxation, there's a social contract attached to it, in the sense that if I'm paying tax to you, I want to be seeing the benefit, I want to see the returns. If I'm paying tax to you, and the road leading to my house, is not tarred, I don't have water in my house, and so on. So I ask him to pay tax. Now, how am I going to be disposed, to paying that tax? I think that's one of the issues. But we are conscious. We expect that going forward, that we'll borrow more, put it tight, because first of all, it's easier to trace, and it's developmental in terms of intergenerational equity.
Thank you so much for coming on this morning. We've been having a chat with a financial development economist, Dr. Odelim Enwegbare, and also Oladotun Mabinori, an economist from Abuja studios, and Dr. Boniface Chizie, who is also an economist, and Babalola Temitope, head of economic desk, ProShare. Thank you all for your contributions. Sunrise will be back in a moment. Just stay with us.